Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be looking at my 2024 weekly election prediction. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you are new. And let's get into this. And so President Biden is currently sitting at a minus 16 point disapproval rating, basically performing worse than Trump, Obama, and Bush during those times in their presidency compared to today. So for example, on April 17th, of 2024, he is at 40.7%. Obama, 2012, on April 17th, was performing at 47.1 percentage points, doing significantly better than the incumbent president as of right now. And Biden has been in this disapproval category for a significant amount of time. He's been there for about, almost 3 years now, pretty much, ever since August of 2021. It's about to be 3 years since he's been disapproved of as the incumbent president. He's been more disapproved of than most presidents. The only president who's been disapproved of more recently is Donald Trump. Donald Trump, I believe, has never been in the favorable aggregate. I think maybe he was for like literally, look, like right here, he was tied when he first got in. He was basically tied. His disapproval was pretty low, his approval rating was pretty low, and then over time, he went down and down and down. He ended up going down to basically 37% at the end of 2017. And he slowly went back up in 2018, and he kind of recovered himself. And the midterms were bad for the Republicans, but could have been a lot worse if his approval rating was at 37%. And by the time that we got to the election in 2020, his approval rating ended up being a 40, around 46, 45.9%. He ended up getting around 46.9% of the national popular vote. And so looking at that, that's going to put Biden in a significantly worse spot as a re-election bid, compared to Trump. And if you look at the RCP aggregate, Trump's currently leading by 0.9%, and he's been leading for a while now, ever since 2023, when the aggregate first started at the end of 2023. He's actually been leading the entire time. Now, the lead has shrunken by quite a significant amount. Even at a period of time in November, he was actually leading by 6 percentage points nationwide, which is a pretty big lead. But Biden has slowly coalesced support as Biden has gone down. However, you have seen Kennedy actually take a recent surge where he's gone from 7.9% all the way up to 9.5% as of right now. And so basically about RFK, yes, he's going to take a decent amount of votes away. However, I don't expect him to take 16% of the national popular vote like he was polling in the beginning of 2023, unless he does end up debating either of the major party candidates. And so looking at this map, basically the safe Republican states are going to be all of these. Now, for reference, guys, I am going to start using the plus 10 margin as the safe category as of right now. And we're going to be going based off of this model, which has projected every single state. I have my own model where I usually plug in the RCP aggregate and the disapproval rating, which is actually at minus 16.1. So actually, let's update this before we start. There it goes. And then now we have new margins here. Gold Crown Politics has his own model where he basically estimates the popular vote, projecting into the future. As of right now, I think the popular vote is going to be a 1.5 point victory for Biden, which is a 3 point shift from 2020. And so that gives us these results. And then over here, we average out both of our results and we get the final results over here for the 2024 presidential election. So for the safe Republican states, what's actually funny is that Iowa, Ohio, Florida, and Texas are going to be joining this column, as well as South Carolina and Alaska, as well as Maine second, putting Donald Trump at 219 safe Republican states. Now, you may be saying, okay, why is Iowa, Ohio, Texas, and Florida in this category? It is because they are all classified as over 10-point margins for Trump. He's winning Iowa and Ohio by 15 points, and Texas and Florida, he's winning both of them around the 11-point margin. And because of that, they are going to be in the safe category. And the reason why I suspect this is because he's going to make some gains, with white working class voters in the Midwest, but also gain a lot with Hispanic voters, more compared to the rest of the nation. Iowa and Ohio are only going to get a couple points more Republican. Texas is only going to shift at the least amount, actually, whereas Florida is going to have the biggest shift, going from 3.4 to 11.1 percentage point margin of victory from 2020. If we look at these safe Democratic states, California, Oregon, Washington, Hawaii are all going to be safe Democrat. Hawaii is going to get closer. However, I do suspect this state to still be above a 10-point margin for Biden, even above 20 points as of right now. Illinois will be under a 15-point margin. The model actually classifies it. If we actually go over here and look for it, is classified as a 10.5 percentage point margin victory. So it's almost likely, but it is currently not. It is classified as a plus 10 state. New York, according to the model, is classified as a 15.7-point win. And even though he has been, basically surging in the state of New York for quite some time now, and the polling looks pretty good for him there, considering that he's down by only a couple of points, I still think the state is going to vote for Biden by quite a big amount. But as time goes on, this could definitely change. And basically the Northeast is basically going to be safe Democrat. New Jersey is the one state that I do have under 10 points because the model does actually have it as an 8.8 percentage point margin of victory, particularly an 8.9 percentage point margin of victory as of right now. And so we are coming down to the more, competitive states. Have Colorado as an 8-point win. Maine's first is still safe Democratic. And so here are your major swing states. And we're going to be going from west to east in terms of these states. The first state we're going to be looking at is the state of Nevada, where Trump is projected to win by 5.5 percentage points. If we look, Biden was able to win it by 2.4% in 2020, but it has been relatively trending to the right, compared to the rest of the nation. And the polling aggregate here looks really good for Trump. It actually is a 7.5 percentage point margin of victory. And if the polling aggregates overestimate Trump by a point or two, like they have before both cycles, Trump might actually be able to win the state by roughly the same amount that the polling aggregate currently has him at right now. The next state is going to be the state of Arizona, where Biden was able to eke out a narrow victory in 2020 because of Maricopa County. However, Trump is expected to win the state by around 4.9 percentage points. It's actually almost touching a 5-point margin, is basically right there. So we're going to put it in the lean category for the sake of the video. And you could probably guess that Trump's going to make gains in Maricopa and the rest of the state as a whole, even though the state will more than likely trend to the left of the entire nation as of right now. New Mexico is going to be a state where Trump massively improves and is classified as a 4.1 percentage point margin of victory, which is significantly closer than the 10.8 percentage point win that it was in 2020. However, because of this, you can assume that Biden is going to do a lot worse with Hispanics and white voters as a whole, even though white voters are going to trend left compared to the rest of the nation, which will keep the state in the double digit categories for Democrats, not double digit, the lower single and double digit category as of right now. And so the next state is going to be, or actually the next district is going to be Nebraska second, which is classified as a lean Democratic according to the model, is a 1.3 percentage point margin of victory for the incumbent president. This district is trending left. And so even though if Trump ends up tying in the popular vote, which this looks like it would be a tied popular vote, or at least, Trump's winning it by a point or so, I'd still expect Nebraska second to vote lean Democratic. Minnesota is considered around a 2-point margin of victory, 2.2 to be exact, which matches the latest poll out of the state that only has Biden up by 2 percentage points. This could be definitely subject to change, but as of right now, it is a lean Democratic margin. If we were to look at Wisconsin, we could see Wisconsin is a pretty big margin. He's actually winning it almost by 5.5%, which it is around a 5.4 percentage point margin of victory. And if you look at this, it's not that unrealistic. If you look at Wisconsin, he's leading there by 2 right now. But if you look at the 5-way, he's actually only up by this amount. He's only up by 0.4. But if you look at 2020, Biden was actually overestimated here by 6 points. So if Trump gets underestimated by 6 again, he'd be winning it by 6. And so basically, it seems like he'd be underestimated by 5 points, which is not that out of the room for margin of errors, like compared to other polling errors in a state like Wisconsin, because Wisconsin has had major polling errors for Trump before. So this result, if Trump is leading the aggregate by that little, may not even be that unrealistic. And if we look at Michigan, Biden's really struggling with African American voters and certain types of voters like the automotive industry and some union workers. He's definitely hemorrhaging support from those. Even some union heads have said that most of their workers are going to vote Republican, even though most of them are going to end up voting Democrat. At least the heads are going to end up supporting the incumbent president. However, we can see this is classified as a 3.8 percentage margin victory, which is basically the reverse margin from 2020. And if we look at the polling aggregate, Trump is actually up here by 3 points in the head to head matchup. In the five-way race, he's up by 5 points. And what's actually funny about this is that the better comparison is 2016, because 2016 is the race where he actually had more third party support. There was more third party support in 2016 compared to before. So this is the best, comparison. Biden basically was your Clinton, excuse me, was overestimated here by 3 percentage points. And if we go ahead and look at the race in 2020, Biden ended up getting basically overestimated by 2 points in the state. So that's an overestimation error of 3. And so if Trump is only leading the aggregate by about 1.9 percentage points, if he gets underestimated by 2 points, that does match the margin of victory in the state of Michigan as of right now. And if we look at the state of Georgia, it is actually classified as a 5 point, I believe it's 5.2. We'll find it here right now. It is considered a 5.2 percentage point margin of victory, which is significantly higher than 2020 and only a little bit higher than 2016. He actually matches his performance. So more than likely, he'll get Cobb County, Henry, Newton, a lot of these counties, maybe even closer. He'll probably do a little bit better in Atlanta than expected, and he'll definitely improve in some of the more rural parts of Georgia. That is 100% certain if he's going to be winning it by 5. So it is classified as a 5-point win. North Carolina is considered a 7.8 margin of victory for Donald Trump. If we actually look at it here, we can find it. It is a 7.8 victory for Trump. He's probably going to do a lot better in white working class areas for all we know. And due to the African American support in North Carolina and Georgia being significantly down for Biden and turnout also being down, that's going to probably hemorrhage a lot of votes for Biden in the state. And that's why they're going to be, high single digit lead victories for the former president. Virginia is classified as a 4.5 victory in the electoral college. Trump presumably will do a lot better in the Loudoun and Fairfax counties, do a lot better in rural Georgia, which is surrounded by, you know, northern North Carolina, the corner of Tennessee, some parts of Kentucky, and even West Virginia. So this kind of part may actually boost Trump's chances of actually winning the state, as a whole. However, I do expect him to still be behind, and I think the state will still trend to the left compared to the rest of the nation. And we only have a couple states left here. New Hampshire and Maine are both classified as 2-point victories. We can see that he's leading in New Hampshire by 2.6, and Maine at large, he's ahead by 2.3 percentage points, which is actually funny because Maine actually votes to the right of New Hampshire, unlike last cycle where Maine was actually 2 points more Democratic than New Hampshire. And the final state is the state of Pennsylvania, and that state is classified as a 4.95 percentage point victory for Trump, which puts it in the lean category ever so slightly. And the reason why it is probably going to end up being this margin of victory is if you actually look at the polling aggregate, Trump is not doing too bad here. The polling aggregate in 2020 was actually pretty spot on. It was perfect. But if you look at 2016, Trump was underestimated here by about 2 points when a lot of third party candidates were included. So theoretically, if he gets underestimated by a certain amount here, and if we look at Pennsylvania's five-way race, he's actually ahead there by 1.6. So if he gets underestimated by about, 2 points, that's a 3.6 victory for him, which is not that far off from the 4.9 percentage point margin that is forecasted in the model as of right now. So even comparing my margins to the polling data and previous polling errors, it's not that unrealistic to see a result like this, literally based out of current polling data right now. And so if you guys did enjoy the video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, make sure to hit that bell so you don't miss another video that I post, and make sure to follow the Twitter and join the Discord in the description down below. And I hope to see you guys very, very soon. This is my basically weekly updated result with Trump at 312 electoral votes to Biden at 226 electoral college electoral votes.